All right, guys, that wasn't really a fun game. Kind of an ugly loss for the Warriors today. 119 to 104 to the New York Knicks. And the New York Knicks, people talk about how bad they are, but this year they actually are kind of a, I wouldn't say legitimate team yet, but they're decent. So I'm not that mad about it. But the main reason the Warriors lost, in my opinion, was because Draymond Green was ejected. Now, I've said in previous recaps that Draymond Green hasn't been really playing up to standards, and he hasn't been really. But, a lot of the things that Draymond Green does are statistics that aren't on paper. He might not put up many points, but he, in general, can play good defense and have good passing, stuff like that. Stephen Curry was the leading scorer for the Warriors. He had 30 points. Wiggins had 17. He had a pretty nice run there. It's just the Warriors, they really couldn't capitalize. They were down 6 at halftime, but based on the final score, they lost by 15, and they couldn't come back. We saw Mannion come out, which was pretty nice. He's our rookie. So is Wiseman, obviously, but Mannion hasn't really played that much. Mannion had 1 point, but he also had 4 assists, so that was pretty nice. He had a nice pass to Wiseman. As for the Knicks, RJ Barrett had 28 points, and he's actually doing well. The Knicks kind of got lucky in this game, I'm going to be honest. I mean, RJ Barrett on the season is like 22% shooting from 3, and then today he made a bunch. Same with the free throws for them. And they're usually a low-scoring team, but 119 points. And I mean, I don't really like to complain about the refs, but the reffing in this game was atrocious. There were so many fouls called on the Warriors that were just very little actions, very little altercations, and it was just not a pretty game. The Warriors, they had really nothing going for them. And I mean, they'll play the Jazz next, who are the best 3-point shooting team in the league. So we'll see. And guys like Oubre are improving, so that's a good thing to see. Oubre tonight, he had only 7 points, but it just wasn't, he didn't have any opportunities, so I'm not going to complain. Wiseman had 15 points. He had a pretty nice game, but there's really not that much to talk about in this game, only because there wasn't much action. It was a pretty boring game. Like, the Warriors, Curry didn't have, despite having 30 points, which is really good, he didn't shoot the 3 ball that well. The Warriors as a team really didn't shoot the 3 that well. And the Knicks did, which was, a lot different than normal. Mitchell Robinson, who's a great defensive player, as well as offensive player, had 18 points. Elfrid Payton for the Knicks had 15. Randall was 16, and Bullock with 12, as well as a former Warrior, Alec Burks, had 11. So the Knicks just outplayed them. Really simple. I really can't come up with an excuse other than that. The Knicks just outplayed them. Draymond was ejected, and there were some bad calls. However, I think this is something we can just move on from. They're playing the Jazz next, and then they play the Timberwolves twice. I expect those next 3 games, at least 2 out of the 3 of them to be wins, if not all 3. But we'll see, though. The Warriors, the problem with the Warriors, they're a good basketball team. I'm not denying that they're a good basketball team, but like, they're very inconsistent. Like, they kind of go on this tangent of a downfall, and then they win some games. They beat the Lakers, and then, oh no, they lose to the Knicks, and then, oh, they come back from the Clippers, and then they lose to this team. So it's just a matter of inconsistency, which I think will be fixed in a matter of time. There's a lot of new guys on this team. Wiseman, Wiggins hasn't been on the team that long. Oubre is new. So Wanamaker's new, pretty much. Bazemore's new. Like, this whole team is pretty new. So I think when Thompson comes back and, when this team gels more, it reminds me of the Oakland A's just a couple years ago. Like, the A's got good because they started playing as a team more. So the Warriors will get better. Like I said, next game is on Saturday against the Utah Jazz at 5 p.m. Pacific. And thank you guys so much for watching. Warriors move to a record of 8-7.